It just seems like when like, and I call it like the braids phase of RL Osborn, but it's like suddenly it looked like you were having fun again is what my point was, what I was getting at. Did it seem like towards the end you started having fun with it a little bit more after like all the pressure of like, maybe, I don't know if there was pressure, but like the corporateness of freestyle went away, and it seemed like you and Chris Day and like Augustin and like Grasso, like you guys were doing it for fun, and like the street riding happened, and like, is that accurate or is that?
Yeah, it is. You know, when he first asked me that, I was like, I don't think that's really, but really that is kind of what happened. It was, I remember, you know, okay, I've had long hair since I was like 6, you know, and my friends were dirtbags, man. We wiped our shirts like this, same shirt every day, same jeans. We were dirty, long hair. We had long hair because we didn't want to get it cut. You know, there's no other reason, but that's who I was. And in Soledad, they were all like that. We were all just like that way, you know. But this kid asked me later on, you know, then I cut my hair when freestyle to look good for the corporate things, and the magazine wanted to bring in Coke and these big companies, and so we cleaned up. And then I grew my hair back out, like what you're talking about, and started doing all these things. And this kid asked me, I was at a contest. He goes, "Hey man, can we do an interview?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "So, you know, what's with the tattoos and the long hair and the torn jeans and everything?" Because he was like, he knew me as clean cut, right? I'm like, "No, man, the clean cut was an act. I'm just a dirty guy. That's it. I wear long hair, wear my pants when they're comfortable, you know." And it just kind of blew my mind, you know. But it also, I was like growing up, and I'm saying, you know, I was getting to that point where I'm going to go, I'm doing this the way I want to do it. I'm going to be real to myself, be who I am, you know. And that was being honest with myself of who I am. That's like one of the best things I've gone through in my life, you know.
It felt like we got you back, to be honest with you. I know, Craig, I'm sorry to jump in there, dude, but like, I know Craig's dying to ask you a question, but just to kind of cap it, dude, like, you know, I remember like going back to those days when it was like watching you in the background, like in the backyard, watching Scott jump into the pool with Mike and all those guys. It was like, there's my friend RL. Then there was corporate RL. And to be honest with you, it was hard to relate to you in those days. I tried to keep up. I tried to be like the clean cut kid too.
Yeah.
But then, man, I got to tell you, the minute I saw those braids and like the tank top cut down to like the bottom, you know, and you're doing that like cyborg, you know, hang five. Yeah. It was such a cool feeling, man. Like you can't see it, but I got goosebumps because I'm like, man, there's my friend again. You know what I mean? Like the kid I grew up with. It was like, there's RL's back. You know, I think we all in our little group of friends, we're like, fuck yeah, man, RL's back, dude. Look, you can just see it, and you can almost see it in your face, like the RL face of like just that grin, ear to ear grin of like, you know, like the pictures got a little bit more like raw is the way I would say, you know, like I think you just posted something on your Instagram or your Facebook of just doing like, you're like, hey, I'm not touching like in this picture, I'm not touching the fence. You know, you had your hand back and you're like, I'm not grabbing the fence for balance.
Oh, right.
But like, dude, that was like, look at your face in there, and it just looks like there's pure joy again. And I think that's really kind of what we all saw and experienced.
I'm glad that we kind of connected that way, because you're exactly right. That's what it was like last night when I saw your tattoos. I was like, all right, this guy's got a little depth to him, you know? And so, yeah, I think we're on the same page. Definitely.
Yeah. And I was only going to say, like, I was thinking back to that comment you made, RL, about, you know, getting the braids and wanting to get attention and probably shunning the uniforms and all this. And it reminded me, and we talked about this a while ago, Isaac, and I was telling Isaac, go on YouTube, dude, you got to see this. And I remember this as a kid. And since you said getting attention, when you did the That's Incredible show, because I used to watch that religiously, and I was like, I remember this. It was you racing a thoroughbred horse or something. Yeah. And, you know, I'm like, now that I hear this, I'm going, now, was that for having fun or getting attention? Or was that like a corporate thing that they're like, hey, we want to put you on this show and we're going to put you up against a horse and all this. And you're like, dude, yeah, I want the attention, but I don't want to do this. You know, what was that kind of like how that went? Was that a thing that you were into, or was it like, I got to do this because I'm now in the corporatized world of BMX?
Oh, I was willing to do anything, man. I didn't care. You know, I'd race a horse. But the National Enquirer called me. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
National Enquirer. I love those magazines, by the way. Whether they're true or not, I don't know, but I love them.
They're all true.
They are true.
They're all true.
I think so, man. Like the alien stuff definitely is true.
100%. That's how they communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elvis was an alien, bro.
I don't think he's dead either, nor is Michael Jackson.
Nope.
But that's another story. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, at National Enquirer. This guy, Jamie Budge, was a photographer from National Enquirer. And I guess he had an idea and he needed a gig. You know, he needed to create something to sell to the National Enquirer. And National Enquirer was behind it. And he said, how do you feel about racing a horse? I said, yeah, do it. And so we went out and, you know, started checking it out. And I'm sure you guys have heard that whole story about the horse, the first horse I beat and all that.
No, man, I did keep going, dude.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. So he goes, meet me out at the equestrian center. So we're out at Griffith Park Equestrian Center. This place is serious, man. It was like, I was starting to get an impression of what I got myself into. And so he had National Enquirer, and that's incredible. They were all behind it, willing to do it. And this lady, man, I didn't like her. She was so freaking competitive, right? She's competing around the world on horses, right? And she's laughing. We were going to do a drag race. I don't know, a couple 100 feet. And she's like, there's no way this guy on a bicycle is going to compete with my horse. Just no way. She says, you're wasting my time, is what she said. And I'm like, wow, man. These horses.
All right. All right.
Be good. Yeah.
Come on, girl.
So we had this drag race and I smoked her. I just fucking smoked her, man. And I'm like, I just kept my cool, you know, let her simmer in her misery. And she goes, no, let's do it again. So we did it again. I smoked her horse again. She disappeared. And Jamie's like, well, shit, man, I don't know what we're going to do now. And then he goes, I'll call you as soon as we hear something. The lady shipped a horse in from Europe that was going to be in the Olympics or something, full on racehorse, right? And I'm like, oh, wow, this is getting serious. And so while she was doing that, they started building the track, right? And my stunt coordinator was Spanky Spangler. I don't know if you know who that guy is, but he's done some, take a go-kart over like 10 cars, cartwheels. I mean, he's nuts, right? But he was my stunt coordinator, which was really good to have because they built this track for me, which is only 4 feet wide, which kind of sucked, but it was cool. And it had jumps over these bars and stuff. And I came back the next day and Spanky was pissed, man. Not at me, but he was yelling at the producer or whatever that guy was. And I'm like, what's the big deal? He goes, go look at your jumps. I'm like, they look okay. He goes, that jump's 2 feet higher. So the producers came back in the middle of the night and they wanted more action. So they raised the jumps up. Oh. And Spanky inspected the track the next day and found it. And he said, oh yeah, this happens all the time. Right. And I'm like, wow. I mean, it just blew my mind.
They wanted the wow factor.
Yeah. Well, I really liked Spanky after that. I felt like I had a bodyguard, you know, I'm like, man. And, so they argued, man. I mean, they got into it. And I just sat and watched it all unfold. And he got my jump straightened out. They were pretty big, too. 4 feet. I couldn't see my landing. And I had 4 feet to land on. And it was just like this. The wood was lapped over on the other one, you know. But that lady wanted to beat me so bad. Did you know? In fact, I don't know if you guys know this. When a horse is racing, they know exactly how many strides that horse will make on that particular track. The width of his feet when they're open, exactly. They know 10, 12, whatever. Well, she was whipping this horse so bad because she wanted to beat me now that she skipped 2 strides. The horse skipped 2 strides on that little tiny track, which was like, if you're a horse person, that's a mind blower. You know, I didn't grasp it till I was like 40 years old, but And the horse really dug me too. At the end, the horse would come over to me and I'd pet it. And she didn't like that a whole bunch either. But the horse beat me 2 out of 3. And one thing that happened was really cool is horses have this thing where if something flashes in front of them, and I don't care if this is a horse from God, if it flashes and they want to stop, they dig their paws into the ground and they stop, man. I mean, full bore, and it takes them like 2 feet, right? And the horse, we were going over the water hole, and the horse got a glimmer of the water, and she just buried her feet, and the lady went right over the horse into the water. I'm like, yeah.
And that's crazy. She had to ship a horse in from Europe. Like, nah, dude, this guy ain't getting on my horse, getting over me on my horse, bro.
The best part, dude, all I can imagine, dude, is like that scene from Rocky where like she took her horse, like juiced it up like Ivan Drago, you know what I mean? And then just brought in like a ringer horse. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, there was no rules. You know, I was, all I could think about, well, I should call Greg Hill, man. I'll get Greg Hill out here. He was like the #1 pro at the time and faster than shit. And, but you know, they wanted me to do it. And so I did, but, and I'd race BMX and I was pretty fast at times. But I don't know. I felt like the horse did me right when she kicked her over into that water hole, man. I was like, this is priceless. You just can't beat that, you know?
Did you turn around and give him a little nod like, thanks, bro?
Oh, yeah. He winked at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah. So that's how that all came about.
My favorite memory from like that show, dude, was like, and this has nothing to do with BMX, but it was like, I remember they like, this dude was like going to catch a bullet in his teeth. And I'm like, that just doesn't happen. There's no way, dude. And like they did it, they set it up and they had like this big, like dramatic thing. And I remember, dude, I think it was on Sunday nights or something like that. That's incredible. So I was like in my pajamas and I was like ready to, like, I'm just like, dude's going to catch a bullet. This is super dangerous. And they had the music all dun, 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 you know, and like, and they had like what was it? Kathy something? I don't remember like the 3 of them, but it was like
Kathy Lee.
Kathy Rigby. Yeah.
Rigby.
Was it Kathy Lee Rigby?
No, maybe, but you're right. Rigby. John Davidson.
John Davidson, dude. Oh, hell
John
yeah,
Davidson,
dude.
Yeah.
And so they're all sitting there and they're all stressed out. And I'm like, man, this is like, and hearing like the story of like how sketchy it was for you. And you're like, yeah, it was kind of sketchy. Like I'm starting to think like this might've been real. And so like the dudes, like, you know, they get up and they prove it's like a real gun. So they shoot an apple and then they put the dude there. And then like they did the shot. And then they cut to commercial and they're like, yeah, something bad happened. And then they showed like an ambulance, like taking this dude off. And I'm pretty sure they just shot that poor bastard.
Dude, after hearing RL's story, that night they probably changed the caliber of the gun or something, you know.
Yeah.
We need a faster bullet. We need a faster bullet. What do you mean I got to wear a blindfold?
Yeah. I heard about things. You know, Mike and I did this show in Venezuela with a guy that threw axes at a girl that was spinning. And then the world champion yo-yo guy was on the same show. So at night we were in the guy's room that did the yo-yo thing and we're like 2 feet from him. Right. And he's whipping out all these yo-yo tricks, like crazy stuff. Right. And the axe guy is walking around. He's got a pretty big attitude because he throws axes, you know? And
yo-yo.
It was a trip, man. It was, you know, you see him on TV and then later on we're all back at the hotel and, you know, it's kind of like the curtain comes down and you see what really goes on. It's pretty fascinating.
I was waiting for that story to go so differently because we're talking about like the dude that got it like shot in the face, and then you're like, I was in Venezuela with an axe thrower, and I was waiting to hear about like how sketchy. Like, you know, we get back to the hotel and she's got a permanent horns. You know what I mean? Like, he's
got a glass eye. You know, it's like a one-eyed axe thrower.
Well, I'll share a little insight. That's what I kind of stopped early, but so the show had these dancers, right? And I met one that was really cute, I thought, you know, and apparently the axe guy was after her too. And so, but she was going to go out with me, and that really pissed him off. So we didn't get along very well. But the date wasn't all that great because I couldn't speak her language, and we just shook our heads at each other like, what, because we couldn't understand each other. But it bugged him, and that made me feel good. So, but no, I don't think he didn't split anybody, but he was really throwing axes. There was no the bull in the teeth thing. I don't know. That might have been a little more magic, like those guys that float and stuff. But the axe guy was really throwing axes. That's a tough career, especially when it's your girlfriend spinning on that big thing, Yeah, not good.
Not at all.
And here you are, like, he's eyeballing the same girl while he's sharpening the axe with a stone, looking at you like, just
I know, right? I thought about that later, and I thought, man, that might not have been the best move, but
that's hilarious. So, kind of getting back on to BMX stuff, dude, because I'll just bullshit with you all day, dude. Like, this is fun as shit. Like where you're at now, right? So I see, you're talking to Pat from Flatland Fuel.
Yep.
You're like back on a bike. Was there any pressure? Like, hey man, I got to get, like, I know you have a general. Was there any pressure? Like when people saw you, or was it like, you have to get an old school bike? Did you ever feel the pressure from like the old school? I don't want to say the weirdos of freestyle, but like there's some people that really want to box 80s freestyle into a box and be like, if you're getting back into it, you have to have the Radberry kind of pink lavender, like RL, or like RL Osborn. I recreated your yellow bike from Rad down to the exact. It's the exact vinyl cutter that cut the sticker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they get hardcore, dude.
Yeah.
And was there any like crazy pressure to like, you should only ride the bike you rode in the 80s? Did you ever feel any of that?
The movie, the yellow bike in Rad, the Redline. That's definitely where I've been. And I was working with Lynn Caston, and I think Gene Romero was the engineer, was such a learning experience. And I loved Lynn to death. He's such a good guy and sharper than shit, man. He can really think outside the box. And Gene was the engineer, but Redline was a really good experience for me. Really good. I learned a lot about quality there. And I totally forgot what the question was. Oh,
was there pressure to get to ride Redlines again when you're like now, like 6 months ago, like say when you were starting back?
Yeah, there was. There not pressure. I'll be honest with you. The guys in this community have been so freaking cool. They make the suggestions, and some of them get a little trippy. Like when I started cutting things off the general, man, there's a few people that lost their minds.
I saw that you were die grinding off the platforms in the back, and you're making room for the pegs on the forks, and you look at the comments, and guys are like, what are you doing?
And like, you got to appreciate that, because they care so much about that bike and the history. And this one guy did, and this fucked with me, screwed with me for a while. He said, you should never change history. And man, that set me back a couple of weeks. Because I got the bike's always right here, right? So I can see it all the time. And I didn't touch it for like 2 weeks because that statement was so strong. And then I said, all my friends we were building cars, trucks, antique. My friends were building antique cars. I was building Harleys. And man, they get like an old Mustang. First thing you do is put disc brakes on it, And so that was my, that's what got me through cutting everything off. Was I was like, well, my friends did it on old cars, so I think it's okay.
But I think that's pretty cool, RL, that that you understand that there's people out there who, they're the diehards, the old heads, as the term gets thrown around, or guys who are just like so into like, oh my gosh, you're changing history. And one of the things, and it's public, you just recently put out it was kind of like a response on Facebook, and you were addressing something that was going on where there was some drama going on where an old school writer was commenting and saying something about, not using his likeness or his product without his permission. And you really wrote and I'm going to tell you this, man, straight up, you really wrote a response that just held so true to who is out there, as far as, I hate to say fan base, but who the people are who are, that are reacting and supporting the history and the writers that created that. And you were like, hey man, don't forget, these people have been there since the beginning, and they'll be there for you all throughout this. And don't forget who, you don't have the presence that you think you have without the people who are following you and supporting you, and I was like, man, that took a lot for me to read it and think, this is a peer-to-peer response. And it was so true and so straight up, like no punches pulled, honesty, like you were talking about earlier. And I'm like, you know what? That just totally gave credit to everything, when people say, oh man, like Isaac was talking about, it has to be this part and this sticker and all this. These guys are holding this history in place. It's the glue that keeps it where it's at and where it has been through all these years. And to hear you say that, and if you guys haven't read it, you can, check it out on Facebook. But it was like the realest thing I read in a long time.
Well, thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
man. So that was pretty cool.
But it's like you guys doing this show, I mean, this is why the sport's still here. It's not because of me, and so I think you guys deserve way more credit than you think. Because everybody's like, no, it's because you did this. I'm like, no, man, there's the simple way to say it is, if there's no butts in the seat, there's no team on the field, just a fact. So it's really something we did together, and it's better that way. And I don't have very many filters left anymore. And I just saw shit just comes out of my mouth, and I live with it. But thank you for saying that.
I second it, dude. Like I read that, and like, it was one of those things where you're just like, I was excited that person was back, and then I was instantly not excited they were back. You know what I mean? And that's just, I'll leave it at that. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, it's kind of, and I hate to say, like, man, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised. I think you're going to see a lot of former writers that are in it for maybe weird reasons, different reasons than what we are into it for. I'm into it because I loved BMX growing up, and I love it. And when I say I loved freestyling, I kind of encompass it into, I loved hanging out with my friends and accomplishing things I didn't think I could do, and the camaraderie of it. And I love that I can go on your Facebook page, and it's almost like in the 80s, we all had our own little scenes in our own little cities. And then RL would come, like Eddie would come, Diz Hicks would come, like these random people would come to your town. And then these other scenes would show up that you didn't know about. And it was like a big party of freestylers that you maybe didn't know. Yes. And you instantly had a brotherhood with them. And then we all like responded to you. So you were like the figurehead that brought us all together. But it wasn't like, like, it was like you were meeting a hero, but it was like a hero is like unattainable. But you guys were like so cool to us kids. Like, man, you want a sticker? Here's a sticker. You want, like, I'll give you my shirt. I'm just stoked you're here. You know what I mean? Like, it was so cool to have the pros show up, and they're just like you, and all these other kids that you didn't know that were like two towns over, that you just hadn't, like, it was farther than you could ride in a day and get home with the lights on. So you just didn't know about them. And we were all in one spot making friends with new people. And that's what it's like going to your Facebook page. Well, it's just global.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I almost feel guilty taking that compliment, because it just seems like that's the way it should be. It doesn't, I mean, really, come on. We all did this. It's not just me. It's not Bob Harrow. It's not the magazine. You guys are just as much of this. So let's just all like say, all right, we're even. And it's just to enjoy each other's company, and.
Well, I got to say, and I appreciate that, because, one of the things, like, as even grown up as a kid, like when I first started watching VHS videos of riding and the things I was into with bikes, I would, as soon as the tape was done playing, I had to get on my bike and go ride. Like I had this energy, like, oh man, I'm going to go try that. I saw it, how it's done. I'm going to go out there. I'm stoked. Right. And it still happens today. One of the things I like best about the videos that you're doing and with your son and everything and Dylan is like, I'm watching you knowing that I have this history watching you in the past, but it's like, I feel like when you're out riding and sometimes, you're trying something where you've got, your sheet in the garage, it's like, all right, I got these tricks. I got to do it 3 times. Then I'm moving on to the next one and then the next one. And you've got this list that you're going to hit. And there's no shame in you. You don't cut out the parts where you bail or you slam on the garage and do a roll.
Yeah.
It's not all like glitz and glamour. Like, hey, I hit every trick. It's like, oh, I bit it on that one. Right.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's me, dude.
Yeah.
I get, you know what? RL's bailing on the ground and rolling on the garage. I'm bailing out in the front of my house where all my neighbors are looking out the window like, why is that guy out there falling and riding bikes at almost 50 years old? Because I love it and I want to keep doing it. So I get super stoked watching you and Dylan. And just that feeling of like, you know what? This is who we are. We fall, we land, we make it, we ride out, we don't sometimes.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm stoked to I watch that, like your videos, and I'm like, I'm going out and riding, babe. Bye. And if I fall, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's just how this shit goes at this age.
Get the peas.
Get the
Craig,
peas.
Craig, your wife doesn't hassle you when you come in and you're all swollen up?
She has to come outside. She watches me from this window right here. And then she'll open the window. Are you okay? When I first got on a 29er, I was like, all right, this is a wheelie bike. So I'm going to wheelie. I used to wheelie my Mongoose and my Schwinn Stingray with the banana seat all day long with, hitting the brake. Dude, I'm out there. I looped out the first time. I'm on my back going,
Yeah.
I'm like 4 feet in the air, 5 feet in the air, straight to my back. I didn't hit the brakes enough.
Yeah.
Cracks. You okay? I'm like, fine.
You're making that like elephant sound.
I had the wind knocked out of me.
Oh my God.
Somebody call my mom. Somebody call mom.
And
isn't it weird how your brain doesn't age, but your body does? Your brain's like, yeah, it's just like it was yesterday you were doing that. Go ahead. And then your body's like, no, man.
It's like, hey man,
let me remember any of that stuff.
Let me give you a quick reminder of how
it's the angel and the devil, dude. Over here, I've got my brain going, fucking send it, dude. You got this. You know how this works.
Yeah.
And then over here, I'm like, but you have to be at work on Monday. What's your insurance deductible at right now?
I know, right? Exactly. That's so true. Man, I guess I face planted. I was knocked out, went to the hospital and all this stuff. And then I had this, my insurance didn't want to pay. I had 2 different insurances and they didn't want to pay because I did it out of town. I'm like, so the next time I rode, I was doing the same thing. I was getting ready to do these doubles and the little angel's going $50,000 if you don't make it. And, Red's going, you got it, man. Don't worry about it.
Send it, bro.
Yeah.
That'll happen twice.
Over there is good for you. Try that one.
Yeah. Hey, if I fall, drive me back over the city limit and then call the cops. Call the ambulance. Drop me off in Reseda.
That's so funny you said that, man. And then that's the worst thing. If you're going to try a double, that's for some reason. This I don't know. I'm not trying to steal what your comment was, but if I go to let's say I go to Truckee, right? And you see all these jumps, and then way down at the bottom, there's this like huge line where like all the 16 and 18-year-olds are doing it, And there's always one jump everywhere that I go that's way too big for me. That's going, hey, we're over here, man. Whenever you're ready.
Right.
Come on. It's like a challenge, And I always end up on it, and I always end up on my face, and I'm like broken ribs and stuff. And the jump's like, hey, come back tomorrow, man. We'll be here. Every single place I go to. So I told Dylan, he goes, let's go ride dirt jumps. He wanted to go ride dirt jumps. I'm like, no. I always end up, he goes, well, then just ride the small jumps, right? And I'm like, It's not really how it works, man. It's like, I want to ride those jumps. I want to ride those jumps. And then he rode a jump. He actually made it 3 times. But then when he had his crash, I don't know if you guys saw that. He was riding a jump that was scaring me. And he crashed. And I think he's starting to understand my philosophy on it's like a drug addict with a pile of heroin, man. It's like, don't even get him in the room, man. It's going to end up bad, you know?
We all know where this is going.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. Like, okay, two comments. One, just quickly to go back to the, like, don't mess with history. My reply to anybody that feels that way is, if you think that general shouldn't be cut up because of, air quoting history, you wouldn't have that general if RL and Buff and, Potts didn't cut up the history of the BMX stuff, because they were building their flatland freestyle bikes on the fly. So, like, we wouldn't have flatland, we wouldn't have freestyle if they weren't adding all these crazy parts to BMX bikes to begin with. Okay. So, like, chop the shit out of that bike and make that general what you want it to be, so you can ride it, because I want to see you riding whatever the hell you want to ride. You know what I mean? Like, dude, like, if it changes, like, people got really trippy on there. They're like, dude, if you cut the axle in the wrong spot, like if you grind the axle out in the wrong spot, you're going to change the geometry. And that, like, they're getting, I mean, like, math was involved. And, like, I was like, dude, you guys are crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
that was great though, right? To have that other side. I mean, my mind was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why would you slot a 14 millimeter axle? You bought a 14 millimeter axle because you're bending your axles, and now you're going to put a slot in it so it fits in your frame. Am I missing something? Is that counterproductive, or am I missing something?
It spot on, dude. Like, I mean, it was like, you're going to change the geometry of the bike by like 0.2 degrees. And I'm just like, man, I came from the generation of like, dude, drill it. You know what I mean? There was a dude in my, like, talk about like the old school stuff. There was a dude that had, and this is going to trigger every flatlander in the world, especially the purists. But he had a trick star, and he didn't have hutch forks because he bent them. So he had some like racing forks, and he knew somebody with a TIG welder. And so he welded rebar, and he had, like, I swear to God, dude, they were like 9-inch pegs of like rebar, like cockeyed off of his forks, dude. But like, he never had to deal with like the stripped out Skyway axle bolts that we all like. Skyway axle bolts, back in the day, Skyway pegs that screwed on, they had about a 4-day lifespan. Like, the shelf life was about 4 days. Like, you could screw them on once, but the minute you had to re-grease or repack or anything, or take your bike apart, they would just strip the threads and you were done.
Yeah. Right.
So, like, yeah, he welded rebar on his forks, and his pegs were like this long, dude. So it was like a Mad Max bike. Like, if you got too close to him, like, he would just boom, boom, just take out your tough wheel and throw it in the freezer. Didn't fix it. You know what I mean? But, like, back to what you're saying. Okay. I just want to get that out. I had to go back and touch on, like, chop your bike up, dude, because, like, the tricks that I want to see you doing, you can't do with like the little, like, the general, like, L-shaped, little foot things that they put on the dropout. Like, I want to see you do Undertakers and stuff like that. Right. I want to see you, like, doing like the modern flatland of like the late 80s. You know what I mean? I don't want to see you hindered by like the bike design, because, like, I felt like in the 80s, man, they just kind of did, like, it wasn't like a whole lot of rider input. It was kind of like, there was an engineer that was like, let's bend a tube and weld it on, and let's see what they can, like, they'll make a trick for this. But talking about the crash with Dylan, I remember watching it. You're like, hey, Dylan took a spill, and it was almost like, in the movies when you see a crash happen off camera, because he jumped, and he just jumped, and he landed out of frame, and all you could do is hear it.
Yeah.
And you just hear that, and you hear the bike, and then you hear it, and I'm just like, and I'm still like, I feel like, even though I've never met Dylan, I'm like team Dylan, team Pat, because I've kind of grown up in this last like 6 months of like watching I call it your family, right? So it's like you're watching your family progress.
Yeah.
And seeing Dylan like set up your camera so that we could all watch, you know what I mean? And he's like, he's a perfectionist where he's like, okay, I've seen him move the camera like 3 times during the session so we can get like the best view, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, good for Dylan, man. Dylan's like on my side, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm all about Dylan. And
I'm thinking on that same thing though. I'm watching him. I'm like going, wow, man.
yeah,
I mean, he really cares.
Dude, he gives a shit about the people on the other side of the camera. And I love that.
Yeah.
So like watching those videos and like to Craig's point, like watching the morning sessions, you know what I mean? And I love when the camera's like low to the ground and it's just shooting into your garage, because it gives me the perspective of like, I can't tell you how many hours I spent sitting on my bike, sitting down, watching my friend's session where he's like, dude, help me learn this trick. Like, what am I doing wrong? And you'd lay your bike down and you just sit on there and you're sipping your big gulp and you're like, you know, go a little bit higher on the front wheel. I think that's going to help you with that tail whip.
Yeah.
And then you're back to you're like,
yeah.
Okay, dude, now try it. Yeah. Like your body, like you're not tucking enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, dude, that's like what it's like watching you do. Like I was watching you do, I feel bad, dude, because I've been dropped on my head so much. And I don't remember the names of tricks, but it was like,
I don't either. So you call whatever you want.
Okay. Yeah, dude. It's like you spin around the front of the bike on the peg, and then the is it a half lash? Maybe, I don't know. The bike spins back around, and then you kind of go into like a roll, and it was like, he's going to do a decade. I saw you go up, and I'm like, the devil on his shoulders going, do a decade.
Yeah, I know, right? He was too.
And I was like, is he going to do it? He's going to do a decade. All right. And then like you stopped halfway, and then you're like, okay. But then sometimes you're just like rolling in a circle, and it's like, you could just watch your thought process. And I'm like, I relate to that, dude. Like you're not even doing a trick, but you're just like, but watching you film that with that jump with Dylan, and watching you react as a father gave me so much more insight and inspiration, because you were so calm after that fall. You're like, Dylan's going to do this big jump. And then I think I remember hearing you say like, here he comes. And then you just hear that like, and then you hear and then you don't see the crash. And then you walk over, and Dylan's like trying to get up, and you're just like, no, man, just sit there. Just have a sit down for a minute. Dude,
I was taking notes at that point. To your point, Isaac, and it was like, hey, man, you okay? And, Dylan's wanting to walk. Anytime you wreck hard, you want to walk it off. You have to like leave the area, and you're like, oh, and RL's, you're going, hey, take a breather. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Don't move. Let's see your hands. Let's see your, I'm like, how is this level of calmness over RL right now? Like with me, I'd be like, oh my gosh, we were talking about how we react, because we're all dads here too. So we got kids, and I was taking notes. I was like, dude, that's how you do it right there. I mean, Isaac, to the point, right?
All I was thinking was, dude, get up and come look at how far you went. That's all I was trying to do. I was trying to go through the things that I was supposed to go through, because I wanted him to come and look. And he's like, where am I? And I go, don't worry about that. You got to come look at how far you went, man. The jump's really steep. It's like super far. You made it over that hole. And he's like, hold on a minute, But I was I'm glad I sold you guys on that, because I just wanted him to get back and look at the jump.
Dylan's limping over and bloodied, and RL's look where you landed, man. Because I've been on that job. I've wrecked on that one, that dog leg, and it comes over to the right.
Yeah.
It's gnarly, dude, if you don't hit it right. But RL, now that you say that, like, hey, dude, look where you jumped. Look where you landed, though.
Yeah. Dylan played high school lacrosse, where they put a ball in a little net.
Yeah.
So they can really freaking fling that thing. And it's like a hard ball, right? And they're not wearing any pads. They wear shorts. And that ball is traveling at like 500 miles an hour. And they just don't have a problem with it. So I've watched Dylan go through all that and all these other sports. And I kind of used to him being able to get up, But I do know when you fall on those tracks that are glued, it's worse than concrete. It's worse. And I don't know. I got a big kick of following him around the house, and his ribs are broken, and he's like one step going up at a time, like walking, and I was just cracking up, man. Because I'm like, yeah, man, now you know how it is, you know? And usually it's me, and they're like, hey, why? Come on, it's time to eat. And I'm like, I'm trying to get there. Give me no understanding. And so when he was going through that, it's like, he's getting a real good picture.
Like paying your dues, man.
Did dues you guys used to laugh at your friends when they would crash? Yeah. Like if you watch them on video later on and you know they lived, you know, it's funny, right?
Oh, dude, yeah, you make fun of, like, I remember, so like, okay, for you modern kids, you have cameras in your phone, and it's not a big deal to record your friends. But when I was growing up, man, it was like somebody's mom had to put a credit card down to rent a VHS cassette tape camera, and there was like a whole apparatus. Like you were carrying like luggage to the spot. You know what I mean? Like it was like sometimes it was like like two dudes had to carry like the camera with you because we didn't have cars.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it was like, and I'm doing this like. You had like a big ass 100-pound like suitcase, and two dudes had to carry it like so we could record each other. And then everyone went big because the camera was there. And this was like your moment to like, I'm doing rad. You know what I mean? Like, this is it.
Yeah.
And so like someone would fall and like, you would like replay their fall and make fun of the noise that like, dude, you sounded like this. Like, listen to this. Come here. You know, and you call in like, you'd call girls and tell them come over. Like, hey, listen to the sound he makes. Like, watch this. He sounds like Flipper, the dolphin when he falls right here. Watch.
Yeah.
And then you rewind it, you know?
I was telling Isaac the other day, RL, I'm like, I was on a ride out and I bailed in like the first 30 seconds of this whole group leaving. And the first thing I do is I'm rolling on the ground. I come to a stop and I'm on my back and the bike's laying on me. I'm thrashed. I look up and see, you know, I'm looking around like, who got that on camera? Who got that video? Cause like the first thing I'm thinking is not that I'm all busted up, bloody and everything. I'm like, this is going to end up on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be someone's highlight reel of old guy falling and getting hurt.
I'm a meme.
On a meme. Yeah.
Oh my God. My legs, you know, like remember how you used to fall and you'd like you start running fast to catch yourself. My legs are like, we're not moving, man. You're going to end up on the ground, and don't drag this out for 50 feet. Just go down. You know, my legs don't move that fast, you know, so I'm always on the ground. But man, it's like the guy on my shoulders going, man, you look like a dumbass right now, halfway running and falling for no reason. And it's that old man thing, you know, but
it's got me back into the scene. So you have a big bike, like you have a Mike Buff fat or the Fat Ripper, right?
No, it hasn't. I don't get it till like the 16th.
Okay. So you guys have the quads.
We have the quads. That's Dylan's right there. And then Pat has one that just came in.
I love that.
I don't get mine because I wanted the Mike Buff. I wanted his name on the frame, you know, and so I got to wait longer. But you've ridden it. You've kind of felt like what that feels like. Can we see the quad? Can I finally now see this? I could tell that was hard for you to say.
It was really hard, dude. Because you guys, you know, I love this. I want this bike so bad.
I know.
Wait, that's your. That
hold on.
Fat Buff is your bike, right, Isaac? Didn't RL get your bike? Isaac's not going to say a word.
No, RL, you got to talk so that we can see the screen.
Okay, can you see the bike?
Oh, I can see it now. Keep talking.
How much of the bike can you see? Because up there in the picture, it looks like you can see the whole thing.
Yeah, I can see the whole thing. That's just glory right there.
You look upset. I'm thinking, man, did I get Isaac's bike or did Dylan get it? But I don't know. You know, man, I was impressed when I pulled this thing out of, you know, by the way, what you said about Todd Lyons, man, he is doing such a good job. I mean, he's into it. He just shows up everywhere. And I don't think people understand how much time he puts into this stuff, but you know, I didn't know that the hubs were wider. I didn't know the cranks were wider. I didn't know it was going to have a small sprocket on it. I mean, there's details on this thing that just make it so original and quality. I love the welded aluminum frame, so it's not too heavy. It's just a badass fucking bike, you know? I mean, Look at that thing. It feels like a monster bike. Like I just want to go over cars and stuff. But look at the chainstays have those, the axle adjusters?
Chain tensioners?
You're very quiet right now, Isaac. Are you going to that bike should be
Isaac's just like reeling over the fact that you got his bike. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
it's the truth.
I'm excited. Here's what I'm excited about, RL. I'm excited that it's one more thing that you and I can relate to. You know what I mean? It's like we grew up riding bikes. And you know, like I want you to have that same kind of feeling of like what it's like to ride like a super comfortable bike, you know what I mean? And just have that, like that opportunity. Cause like, dude, when you go and check the mail, you know what I mean? Like for me, like, I don't live in like the Norman Rockwell world where like the mailbox is like right there in front of my house. Like I live in an HOA, dude. So I have to ride down the block to like a box of mailboxes.
Nice.
And so, yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where, you know, when you're just going to grab a bike, you know, to go get the mail, dude, I hope you grab like your Mike Buff Fat Ripper, dude, and just like tear off down the sidewalk and do a wheelie or something like that. Just super comfortable.
It's pretty addicting. I'll be honest with you. I rolled it out of the garage and I came back and I was looking at my S&M and it looked like Hot Wheels. It was just like this little tiny thing. But I got on the S&M and I rode it. And I got to tell you this. I'm skipping. I got a lot of things I want to tell you. You said you were starting to do tricks on your big bike. Man, I could see that. I could see that. That could be like, I mean, I don't know what it's going to be, how it'll go, but I'm definitely thinking, man, there's so much room on this thing, you know? So I think you're on track there.
Put some pegs on it and go do a lawnmower, and you'll be surprised at like literally like how easy it is to do like an easy trick like a lawnmower. You know what I mean?
The rims don't bend?
No.
Really?
Yeah, it's a trip, dude.
Because I keep thinking big wheels, there's all that leverage, they're going to fold, you know?
No, I'm 220 right now, dude. And I'm basically like 5'11", 220.
Yeah.
And like, I was doing it on my big ripper with a 29 wheel. And
really,
and it'll hold up, dude. Yeah. And like, there's a company called Black Ops, and they make a hollow stem bolt that will work on it works on any of the SE forks and stuff like that. And then, so, I just did a video. I can't believe I'm pitching a video to RL on my channel, but I just did a video of my mechanic, dude, doing like basically taking the hydraulic brake like you have on because I have a PK Ripper 27.
Wait, you have a mechanic?
I do. Yeah, he's like
Man,
my
big time.
Dude.
I should be interviewing you. I don't have a mechanic.
Dude, you do. His name is Sean. He works at Phoenix Bike Company, and if ever you're in Phoenix, dude, this dude, he's like, remember Knight Rider, how they had like, there was Michael Knight, and then there was that one nerdy guy that always worked on kit.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So Sean is like the nerdy guy. Like he's a dirt jump guy and a BMX guy. It's almost like he should have worked at the bike source.
Yeah.
And like, but he didn't.
Steve
He just
Blackie.
Yeah, dude. Okay. Yeah. He's Steve. He's the Steve of Phoenix.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I go and I talk to him. And I'm like, he knows Flatland because he's an old BMX guy. And so he sees me coming in there, and I'm like, I want to put a pots mod on my PK Ripper. And he's like, fucking do it, dude. Let's do it. Nice. And so he'll try and figure stuff out. You know what I mean? And he's like, I think we can do it if you get this part and this part, you know? So we're Frankensteining a Flatland bike out of it.
So are you freestyling on these big tires?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'll show you a clip afterwards, dude. I'll show you a clip of like the tail whip process. But dude, yeah, absolutely. You can do Flatland on these things. If you go and put pegs on that bike, I promise you will do a lawnmower within the first 5 tries because of the balance point.
Really?
I promise you. Yeah.
How about what's the head angle on this thing?
You know, it feels like it's the difference. Like when I do a tail whip, the difference is you have to go a little bit faster because you have to get a little bit higher up.
Yeah.
And so I'll show you a video. You'll watch me progress and like watch me like figure out like how high I have to get up on the to do the tail whip.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to tell me you're doing nose wheelies, nose manuals.
I'm too scared to do that, dude. Yeah, that's I can't get. Here's the thing: I can't get pegs on the landing gear. Look at the landing gear forks. There's no
Right.
room for pegs because of the way that the dropout is. It's too close.
Right.
But the minute I can, if I could find that TIG weld dude from the '80s that could weld some rebar on there.
Get some rebarb.
So on that bike, the head angle's 70 degrees.
70?
Yep. You on that fat quad, head tube angle 70 degrees. I'm looking at the website right now.
That's slow, right? That's
super slow. Yeah.
Man, I struggle on downhill mountain bikes. They want to just go right off the berm because that rake is so far out,
I think you have the pull though, RL, that like if we can get you flat landing on like some of these bikes, because Todd Lyons is like if I give him advice, he's like, shut up, old man. But I don't have the weight that RL does. So if you just tell him like, Todd, can you just make one with like a 74 degree head angle? He might listen to you.
So you think that's a good idea?
I love it.
Okay, good. I don't know yet because I haven't ridden it enough, but hearing you say that, hey man, that might be a good idea.
Well, check this out. Like I especially do a lot of ride outs, RL. And with these bigger bikes, the thing is the wheelie, and that's where the bike life scene is. Everything's based off the wheelie.
Yeah,
do combination work where they're doing a lot of footwork off the seat and the rear pegs, but more recently, a lot of and I say kids, but a lot of the kids who are doing the wheelies and get really good at it are like, what's next?
Yeah.
They're like, there's got to be more. So if they come to me and ask, I'm like, hey man, go to YouTube and check out these guys, and I throw them a list of names, or I go check out these tricks, and they're coming back and they're like, hey man, I can do that endo thing now. I can do this. That trick you told me, Craig? Yeah, I got it. So it's crazy because now freestyle is making its way back into the big bike scene because kids are looking for more. They're like, okay, I got this stuff down, or at least that, but I want more in the portfolio of my tricks. And they're turning back to freestyle flatland tricks.
Yeah.
So it can be done on these bikes. And matter of fact, I like that Monster. I have a regular size Monster quad, 29-inch. I ride the hell out of that thing. Like you said, you feel like you can go over cars.
Yeah.
I ride it everywhere. The skate park, the dirt track, around my neighborhood. And it's crazy.
Wow. Man, I saw Todd at Cliffs. There's no way. I mean, I've only been on that thing a few minutes, but man, I don't know. I get on my Haro RS1 26-inch dirt jumper seems way more adequate or able to do jumps like that. And this thing, I don't know, man. Because I need, some of those jumps are like you're barely making it.
If they're close together, yeah, you got to have that.
Here, dude, I'll show you this, RL. Like, take a look at this. This is. Let me just tap it again. So there's a lawnmower on my PK. That's on a 27.5 PK Ripper.
And the rim didn't bend.
Nope.
Look, you're just hanging out.
It's so balanced because it's literally like it's my size. So it's not like I have to like lean back or anything like that. Like it's such a trip, dude.
So do you have a 14 millimeter axle in the back?
Right, dude. Yeah. Dude, I literally, it's like whatever stock on that PK Ripper is what I've got. I threw some pegs on it. That's the only thing I did. I threw some back pegs on it.
Because man, after getting that 14 millimeter axle and that General, those things look small, but
yeah,
if you say so.
I'm telling you, dude, it's easy. But what do you think, like, what do you think is next for you? What's your plans for building, like, are you going to, like, do you have bikes that do you want, like, how many companies for real, dude, have hit you up like, let's do an RL bike?
2 or 3.
Okay.
And it was like, let's just slap your name on a bike and we'll just do every size you can imagine, and there's no, it's like, hey, try this guy's bike. It should be the right. And I'm like, man, I'm just old school. I'm like, I remember sitting in a room with Lynn Caston and we're arguing and going, oh yeah, no, that won't work. Well, boy, maybe it'll be like this. No, that ain't going to work, and just putting my name on a bike seems so wrong to just sell my name. So I feel like a whore, well, I didn't mean that offensively, but I just felt like I was just like, oh, let's just make money, you know, and it really wasn't that much money. And then, you know, Redline, I wasn't talking to Redline. There was a middleman and that didn't work. It's just not the right attitude, you know? So I'm just kind of, you know, it's really nice just to call people up. It doesn't matter who, because I'm not getting paid by anybody. It's like, I can ride whatever I want. It's really fun. You know, I could call Todd and go, I don't got a contract. I could ride his bike. I could ride Horo's bike. I could ride anything I want. So, but you know, I do think of ideas like, hey, this would be cool. This would be good. But right now I'm just kind of doing whatever's thrown at me. And this big bike thing kind of came out because of Mike Buff, you know, and we were talking about it and been talking to you guys about it. And it's just kind of, so I'm just kind of going with the flow, you know?
I'm excited to see what you do. And I love the fact that like I even posted the other day, I'm like, you know, hey, RL is giving free clinics on his YouTube. You know, teaching people how to do like just random tricks, you know what I mean? I think it's amazing. So if you're out there and you're by your computer, go to your YouTube, just search RL Osborn Freestyle and subscribe to his channel. I think right now, you know, you're got maybe like maybe 1,100 followers on your YouTube. It's only going to get bigger because we want to see you riding. You know, I'm excited for the future and seeing what you do. And I'm excited to see this side of you. You know what I mean? Cause like I just growing up, seeing you ride and going through that professional part and then seeing, you know, where you're like, okay, the fun RL where it's almost like the chains are off and you could ride whatever you wanted. Yeah. And seeing you with dyno bars on a General. And I'm like, that's the bike he always wanted to ride. This is the bike. This is the bars. This is the cranks. And now I get to see it all over again as a grown ass man. And just watching you progress, watching the perfectly imperfect riding that you do, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah, I crash a lot. It's very imperfect.
But so does all of us. You know what I mean? That you're. It's almost like, it's hard to say this because it's like you're watching your buddy. It's like your session. You get to watch a session with your homie. You know what I mean? And everyone's welcome. I think that's the most amazing part of it.
You want to hear the weird thing is that you guys are a heavy influence on me. Like this whole conversation about big bike, I'm getting all kinds of ideas from what you guys are telling me, you know? Or when Craig was talking about falling and his wife's at the window, I meant to ask you, does she stay at the window or does she go outside?
I think it's like, he's breathing. Okay, back to work. You know,
I know.
It's crazy, man. Maybe she should come outside and check on me every now and then, but you know.
Yeah,
I'm too prideful, man. I get up with the wind knocked out of me like, I'm good, you know.
Yeah. Crawl into a bush somewhere.
I make it to the garage. As long as I can get in the garage.
It's embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing to crash and be laying in the dirt and then to do it when I'm 57. So to do it at 57 feels really stupid because I know all the old people are going, you're 57. You shouldn't be riding, doing that stuff, you know, but I don't know, man. I'm learning to just lay there and kind of savor the moment, you know?
I think that's what we all do, man. And I have to say from your comment earlier, what, you know, Isaac's question was, I have this, like, there's this, it's just a feeling of how pure and organic your writing is now. And when you said, look, I'm not really looking to do much more than just ride and have fun and, you know, go in the garage and put videos up for people who want to watch, you know, and it's not about what bike company I'm going to put my name on or this or that. That part really hypes me up. I mean, you could say, hey, I'm signing with XYZ bike company. I'd be stoked. But the fact that you're just like, I just want to ride and I'm going to put it on video. If you guys want to hang out in my garage, cool. You know, come hang out with me. And then, you know, it seems like you're like, hey, yeah, send me a video. If you guys are doing this trick too, send me your videos, man. I want to check them out.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things, you know, is when you're like, hey, Joe Smith, yeah, man, here's that trick that you're working on, man. Keep it up. Keep going, dude. I'm going to do it too. And we're going to learn this together. And that right there, that just brings everyone back into the circle. And that's where like the goosebumps stand up. And it's like, we are a bunch of friends hanging out.
Exactly.
And we're going to do this together.
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to cash grab everyone. I'm not trying to do, I just want to ride. I just want to be in the mix again. So
I couldn't agree with you more, man. It's kind of what matters to us, I think, and it's funny because when I was talking to people online, I kept thinking they were little kids. I knew I got older, but I didn't think they did. And then when I talk to you guys, I'm like, damn, you guys are smart. I mean, there's some, we're adults now. We know things, right? And it's like a whole different, it's the same relationship, just a different level kind of thing.
It is. And so it sounds like from Isaac and I's point of view and our vantage point, we get a lot of communications, probably like you do, like, I want to get back into this, or I'd like to do this, but I'm a little bit hesitant. I don't want to get hurt. I don't know what bike to get. I don't know if I can do this anymore. And it's like, yeah, you can. BMX has not given up on you. You have to get out there. And trust me, if you're hesitant, so is a bunch of other people. You just gotta have the desire, and you gotta have like a little bit of courage that you can like pull back in and go, all right, I'm gonna do it. And you just go out and do it. And the first thing you do is just get on your bike. That's the first step. Get on your bike.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
It's, it's like, if you don't have any friends, just put it out, get a Harley and put it on a stand in your garage, and guys will come, like, they look like zombies walking up to your house. They can smell the oil, and it's more like it's kind of like, cause guys don't really talk good, just guys, but if you have bikes behind it and you have that in common, then it's really good. It's like, you got history, you got something to do. So it's about riding, definitely, no question about it. But it's also reliving our past, talking about our crashes, your wife at the window. Okay, on the second floor, I can barely see you. That's the stuff that really gets me off,
It does, man. And Isaac, he tells a story where it's like, he'll see someone at an airport with a, Redline shirt on, or he'll see a guy riding in his neighborhood, and automatically he knows I got something in relationship. That's my homie right there. We've never even said a word to each other, but I could walk up to him right now and go, "Hey, bro. Oh, so what do you ride? Cool. Me too. Let's whatever." There's automatically the relationship and the bond. And I think that's what you get with your videos of people going, "Oh, dude, there's RL," and so that's the first thing. And they're riding a bike and on and on and on. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I love that part about BMX.
Yeah. Right. It's, and I got a lot of friends that were BMX guys, like hardcore BMX racers, and they're all kind of on the same wavelength. They're just cool and laid back, and I don't know, I'm just digging the whole thing. I think, Isaac should make a shirt that says "I'm geeking out." I would love to have that with Isaac's picture on there. I'm geeking out.
Isaac, you can make that geeking out shirt happen, can't you?
I can totally. I will totally make a "I'm geeking out" shirt, and I will definitely send one to you, RL. Okay. I'll send one for you and Pat.
I've thought that for like a week since you did that Mike Buff thing, man.
It's really hard because, like, it's such a weird experience for me, because, like, just like the wall behind you, you guys were on my wall, and I call Craig all the time, and like last night. So behind the scenes, we tested our audio and our video last night with RL and Dylan. And I remember talking to Craig and just going like, we just talked to RL Osborn, dude. And to you, it's like, you're just RL Osborn. You're just like, to you, you're not RL Osborn. You're just the dude. Right. But to us, it was like, it's not like you're a god, but you were the common thread that we could all relate to and motivated us all to get better at what we did. And so it's like, dude, we just talked to RL Osborn. Like, and I always, this is my like teasing Craig thing. I'm like, if I were to have a time machine and I were to tell 14-year-old Craig, one day you're going to sit and talk to RL Osborn like just hang out and have a conversation with RL Osborn, what would you say? And you'd just be like, there's no fucking way RL Osborn, like I would ever have a conversation with him, or Mike Buff, or Todd Lyons, or Eddie Fiola, or any of these guys.
You know, the funny thing is I hear what you're saying. I feel like we're just friends, you know, but if we were talking about Bob Hanna and I was saying, man, I'm going to be on the phone with Bob Hanna someday, I'd be geeking out too. So.
Oh, nice. He threw the geeking out in there. I love it.
See how I use that?
Well played. Well played.
Well played.
All right, RL. Well, thanks so much for hanging out. You know, giving us your time and just reliving, you know, our past and giving us, I really appreciate the raw honesty of the insights that you gave. You know, like just, I feel like that was like, I feel like it was just a real, like, I really understand who you are as a person and what you went through, you know, riding bikes and being, you know, like I said, like almost like a child star, to all of us and what it was like for you and living it, you know, for you, the day to day and all of that. I appreciate your honesty and not just, you know, giving fluffy answers. And, you know, that to me, like, dude, yeah, I feel like I started this journey, you know, interviewing you as like a fan. And I really feel like it's real. Like, I feel like I just talked to a friend for 2 hours. Like I just talked to another dude that rode bikes, you know, cause we talk to people that are just like, yeah, I rode bikes, you know, back in the day too. I remember looking at the Craig and I bonded over talking about like looking in the stickers at the bike shop, and hassling like the bike tech, like, can I see that sticker? Okay. Can I see that sticker? And knowing damn well I had $1.25 in my pocket. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm not buying all these stickers, but I just wanted to look at them, or, you know, can I see that new peg? You know what I mean? Or like walking in and seeing, like, I have a very vivid memory of the first time I saw your bike, the General, in Hobson Cyclery, and like walking over and seeing, like, did the tech set it up? There was no flop in the gyro. So I'm like, all right, this guy gave a shit about building the bike, you know, and like you'd squeeze the brakes and you're like, can I just ride this? And they knew I didn't have enough money to go and buy it, like a brand new General, and the tech was like, go outside and ride it, dude. You're good. You know what I mean? Like, so you let me test ride the General, you know, but it's, I feel like we're walking away like a friend, and I appreciate that, dude. I appreciate the honesty. So thanks for hanging out with us. Thank Dylan for making it happen. Appreciate you, Dylan. Let me see the monster, the fat quad. I appreciated that a little bit.
Craig, did you see how his face changed? It was like
he couldn't even.
There was no words coming out of his mouth.
No, he was speechless, dude. You know how many times Isaac has been speechless? Like never. Like he rarely ever just goes silent. No, I want to, you know, RL, everything Isaac said. I just want to, you know, say it's so true. And one of the things you said is, you know, we may have started this interview out as, you know, having only spoken for a few minutes before, but it really is. It's like, I feel like I sat around with two of my buddies, hanging out, shooting the shit, and just like the raw, honest, you know, conversations we had. This is what it's about.
Right.
It wasn't forced. And I just appreciate you coming on and Dylan, for helping out with all this and being there. Everything you guys are doing, just keep doing it. It's so cool. It's so awesome. And I'm glad to see where this is going. I love the direction you and Dylan are taking. The amount of energy that you're putting into this is just, it makes a guy like me like stoked to see what's coming up next, man. So I just want to say thank you, man. I really had a good time, and I'm, you know, really, really happy that you guys are doing that. I'm glad to call both of you guys my bros now. So
thank you. And
appreciate it.
Just know the feeling is mutual with both of you guys. I feel like I've been rapping with a couple friends, you know, and that's good. That's good because, I don't know. It's good. You know, I enjoy it. You guys do a good job, man. Even the fact that you called last night, and I'm like, they want to talk before the interview. And Isaac, man, he's got this business side to him, man. His eyes were like big, and he's really sharp, and no slang and everything. He's talking about everything goes. And I'm like, wow, man, this guy's got it together. And you do the same thing, Greg. You guys work together and you run a really good show. You guys are professional, and I'm impressed. I got to ask one question. What are the headphones for?
We've been listening to music this whole time.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, we're rocking out. No, it's just so we can hear ourselves back from our microphone back in. This is our audio from the interview.
So you can hear each other.
Well, we hear you. I use it just so I can hear my mic level. And if I'm way back here or I'm right here, I wouldn't know if it sounds right. So.
Well, it looks really professional.
Hey.
It's not. Know? It's really not. Yeah. It's
no, Isaac, let it go. Let this go, bro.
Yeah. It's very well thought out.
Our producers and our staff.
Man.
Yeah. Our staff and producers and all of our executive team, we want to thank them too for making sure we got the right headphones and microphones and, cameras and everything. My background is all set up by my design team. It's a well-oiled machine, RL.
I knew it. I could tell that last night, man. You guys are on it.
My headphones are so you can't hear my kids arguing downstairs about who's beating who in Fortnite is literally what it is, dude. So I can't hear them arguing over who's, because they get 20 minutes each, dude, on Fortnite. And so it turns into fisticuffs downstairs. And so I don't want to hear it while I'm talking to somebody. That's literally what it is.
I'm going to have a pair on my next interview. I'm going to have the little microphone that comes down here. You don't need that anymore, but
Isaac's got it. Isaac, flip it down. Show RL.
I saw it up there.
Boom. Yeah. Look at that. He can direct air traffic now.
This is me on conference calls at work all day. I don't bust out the nice mic because I have to type and stuff like that. So the nice mic is only for hanging out on the weekends.
Yeah. Right. All right. Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys having me and thoroughly enjoyed this whole thing, man. Thank you.
Well, I can tell you what, and sorry about that little pause there, but thanks again. Isaac, I'm going to wrap this up. So everybody, if you enjoyed as much as we have having our guest today, RL Osborn, on the show, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Don't miss another episode and continue coming back and we're always try to provide the best guests that we can with the best content. And we appreciate your support. We appreciate all of you listening. If you're out there riding your bike or you're driving your car, or you're at work, you can always tap in and listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to our live streaming podcasts. And thanks again to everyone for showing up, man. We are stoked that you're here. And RL, thank you. And Dylan again for showing up. Super stoked to have you, as we said. Isaac, why don't you go ahead and wrap us up, brother?
Yeah, thanks everybody hanging out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for riding your bikes with us. Thanks for riding back in the day. And thanks for being our friends, man. We appreciate it. Looking forward to all the comments and we do the live chats when we premiere these on YouTube. So thanks for everyone that shows up to that and hangs out. You can find us at bigbikebmx.com. You can find RL Osborn on all of his social media. If you just look up RL Osborn Freestyle, super easy to find him. Definitely follow him. He's got a page on Facebook. He's got an Instagram. He's got a YouTube. So follow all of that stuff. And it's definitely real talk from El Cid. It's awesome. So thanks, RL. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch you guys next week. Take care.
Cool.
Go ride your bikes.